Awards has ignited a heated public debate. The reaction has been mostly negative, but the district and supporters have defended the practice. Joining us this morning to discuss this issue further in our Johannesburg studio is author, columnist and social commentator Ndumiso Ngcobo, and with him is from the Commission for Gender Equality, Commissioner Lulama Nare, and from our Durban studios, the Deputy Mayor of Ethekwini, Nomvuzo Shabalala. She joins us to represent the office in this discussion. Good morning and welcome to Morning Live. Please note that we did invite the Mayor Dudu Mazibuko, whose Uthukela District Office is responsible for the scholarship, but she was unable to attend. Thank you very much for joining me for this discussion. Deputy Mayor, let's maybe start with you and the obvious question. Good morning to you. Do you understand the public outcry, the public furore about the virgin bursary, and do you get the public's reaction to it? Deputy Mayor, good morning.
Good morning. At the end, you disappeared.
Let me just ask that question. Let me ask that question very quickly. Do you get the public reaction? Do you understand the public reaction to this virgin bursary issue? Is it a fair reaction, or do you think they've taken it out of context?
I don't think they have taken it out of context. I think the public has a right, of course, to question the motive behind the bursaries that will be given only to a virgins, because that it looked like the breach of our constitution, and it looked like the discrimination to the other children. What about those that have been raped? Those are some of the questions that the people are asking. And as the city, it's not us that we are doing that. We cannot give bursaries on the basis of that a child is a virgin or stays a virgin, because how will we know that? We know that there are other institutions that are dealing with the matters of virginity testing, which we do not really not support. We support that, but we can't discriminate the children in terms of the giving out the bursaries just because we want them to stay virgin. We want to encourage our young children to stay virgins, but it cannot be used as a criteria for giving bursaries, because bursary, the aim of giving a student a bursary is to further his or her education. And now we can't really use the issue of virginity as the criteria for any child to access the bursary, because that will become an issue of discrimination.
Deputy Mayor, before I pass this question on to my panel here in Johannesburg, there are a couple of, maybe one or two things I'd like to pick up. You use the words like can't really, it looks. What would you say to the mayor of that district office? You're on public TV right now. What would you say to that Mayor Dudu Mazibuko, who has defended that practice quite publicly, to say that, listen, at the end of it, there's good being done by having this bursary process in place? One of the things that you've also highlighted now is that you can't do adequate virginity testing, and yet in one point I get a sense that there are places for it, that you're in agreement that in some areas it can be used, or it is being used, and you're okay with it.
No, I'm not saying in some cases it can be used or it's being used. I'm saying there are institutions that are dealing with the virginity testing. For example, in KwaZulu Natal, we have Umkhosi Womhlanga, which is His Majesty's program, of which we support, because we normally give those maidens transport and everything, the support that they want to go to those institutions. But what I'm arguing is that we can't use that as a criteria to offer the bursaries to the students, because bursary, we remember, as the government, we're not using the money from our own pockets. We're using the money from the ratepayers. Therefore, we can't take the public money and say it suits to give to this one, but it doesn't. So,
Deputy Mayor, very quickly, I want to bring in the rest of this panel of this conversation. So, is Mayor Dudu Mazibuko wrong?
I can't say she's wrong because I don't know where she got that idea of dealing with this matter in this way.
Okay, ma'am, let me bring the rest of my panel.
I can't.
Let me bring the rest of my panel into this discussion. And I'm going to start with the social commentator because I want to get, Lulama, from you a different sense. Just your reaction to what the mayor is saying, the deputy mayor.
Well, I think that she's speaking very carefully. You clearly you can tell. The first part of her answer is, I think she's very unequivocal about the fact that linking virginity to bursaries is a bad idea. But it also then sounds like she is expressing an opinion when actually I really don't think that it's an opinion, because when you ask her later to say, do you then think that she's wrong, then she says that she can't say that the mayor of Uthukela District is wrong. But then they just also very quickly just put it out there that, you know, when we also talk about issues such as virginity testing, I think that the deputy mayor is actually not going far enough, and you can almost understand why it is that she's in a difficult position and cannot comment even further. But I don't think she goes far enough, because why do you want to police young girls' sexuality and base it on culture? And remember, this is 2016, bicentennial celebrations around the Zulu Kingdom, 1816. And also looking at some of these practices being completely ahistorical, you know, how it is that they are being practiced. Because the whole issue around women remaining virgins, even back then, it came about as a particular period in our history. And when I say our, because I also come, you know, from that particular community, 1816 to 1828, a military stage in the history of KwaZulu. And even then, you know, young women, maidens, were allowed. I mean, there was a regiment, of course, called Vuthwemini, that was paired with Ufasimba, a regiment in that time, in a practice in Zulu history called Amahlaya, where there was sexual contact within a particular context and used in a certain way. We've got two words called Ukusoma and Uklobonga, and then the practice was really about exercising restraint while you do engage in sexual activity. But I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody just to keep their answers a lot shorter, because we are running out of time. We're going to go to an ad break, but when we come back, the first person I want to talk to is Lulama Nare, who is a gender equality commissioner. And I really want to understand, and I think maybe you touched on something there that I think is very, very important, the idea of the public virginity testing still in 2016. We take an ad break. We'll be back after this.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we have been banned.
It didn't happen to me on that day because I was already in jail when it happened.
I was scared that when I got back to Joburg, I was going to be arrested. Well, I wasn't. Who are you asking? You're looking at me.
Yes, Abeda, I'm talking to you.
So the old fuddy-duddies like Dennis and me will remain there.
I just want to say, Joe, that the thing about... damn, go on, and it's coming back to me.
So much more than just a legal and rights show. Join Dumile Mateza every Sunday at 2 p.m. only on the SABC News channel.
The son of Africa, Trevor Noah, is leaving America in stitches.
I never dreamed that I would one day have, well, two things really. An indoor toilet and a job as host of The Daily Show.
We are the first to bring you the latest films around the globe.
Dear white people, the minimum requirement of black friends needed to not seem racist has just been raised to 2.
Cobhams Eseko is a gifted blind musician, a master of soothing notes from the piano.
And I love to sit behind the piano. You know, that also helps me find inspiration.
Join Refulo Mulwa every Friday for that 1-hour weekly dose of art and entertainment news at 9 p.m. on Trends.
Africa's tech scene is constantly coming up with innovative ways to answer some of the continent's problems.
We source content from social media, from our mobile apps, from our website.
And as people move from phone calls to data, companies have to switch what they offer.
People expect to get higher speeds, better quality broadband for less.
On Network, we have information on Africa's technology and social media scene. That's Network with Ms. Phumelele Zondi every Sunday at 9 p.m. Central African Time, only on SABC News.
As stories are broken around the world, SABC makes sure you do not miss out. As the stories unfold throughout the day, News at 8 updates all newsworthy stories worldwide. Globally, we are there. Locally, we leave no story untold. Make a date with News at 8 every Saturday and Sunday on SABC News, Africa's news leader.
Welcome back. You watch Your Morning Live. Today we're discussing the very controversial scholarship for virgin girls run by the Uthukela District in KZN, which was announced at the Mayoral Matric Excellence Awards. In the studio we have writer and social commentator Ndumiso Ngcobo, and from the Commission for Gender Equality, Lulama Nare. From our Durban studios we are joined by the Deputy Mayor of Ethekwini, Nomvuzo Shabalala, who is representing the office, he was in place of Mayor Dudu Mazibuko from the Uthukela District Office, who unfortunately couldn't be here. Okay, let's quickly bring Lulama Nare into this conversation, because we actually haven't heard from you, and there were different opposing views, and I think Mr. Ngcobo gave us a historical context in terms of this discussion. But let's really understand the issues related to virginity testing in 2016. The fact that you attach a bursary to it, that it's a very public process, that if you're found to not be a virgin, that you would be ostracized, that it impacts your life within that community, that the negative consequences of being part of such a process is in many ways catastrophic.
It actually follows women right into their lives as a lifetime. Even when they relate with other people later on in their stages in life, they always feel the shame, the guilt, and every other thing that is associated with the anxiety of being expected to be pure and to be good behavior and all those things. And I think for me, clearly here, there is a breach. I know that Ms. Nomvuzo maybe might be trying to, to balance things, but I think there is a clear breach. The local government is an arm of the state, and the state cannot be contrary to what is binding it, which is the Constitution. There is a clear breach of the Constitution here. And I think that municipalities is wanting to balance what the community's outcry and the Constitution, and it has therefore breached the Constitution. The local municipality cannot run away from its responsibility of not violating women's rights. And here you have clear gender discrimination.
Please educate us very, very quickly in terms of what actual law has been broken here.
Here you have a gender discrimination, the law to equality. Everyone is equal before the law. And two, you also have the violation of the human person, the person's security. For example, we are not supposed to be conducting bodily searches, which are arbitrary. This is unscientific. This is not medicinal. This just is like a communal rights that is taking away the individual rights of women.
Deputy Mayor, in a country where where especially women are struggling with access to quality education, statistically the quality of that education is lower than men. How can we still continue to justify this very invasive and traumatic process?
Indeed, it's very difficult to justify this because, as I said earlier, we should not be discriminating. Education is a right that is in the Constitution. And also, I agree with the gender specialist that discrimination of women cannot be exercised by government. And therefore, we definitely should also look in terms of what are the provisions of our Constitution before we utter these messages out there, because really it puzzles me as well as the local government practitioner. I'm not really representing Mayor Dudu Mazibuko here.
For sure.
We were invited as the city of Durban to participate in the debate. I was hoping that she will also be participating in the debate itself. But what I am talking about is our views as the city, that we also give bursaries to students. As we give those bursaries to students, we can't say that we only give those that are virgins only. Reason being that how are we going to be verifying that this one is a virgin and this one is not? And what about those that have been raped? How are we going to say that for the rape, because they are no longer virgin if you are being raped? And how are we protecting the younger generation, because we have to protect the nation, and providing bursaries should not be used as one form of punishment if you did not behave.
For sure. Ndumiso, the public outcry to this story has been almost very similar to the penny sparrow outcry. If you read social media, the amount of people that are incensed and offended by this practice.
Well, you know, I have absolutely no scientific way of being able to count and see, you know, exactly how rife it is. But this outcry, I totally understand that, you know, like Lulama has just, you know, pointed out, that when people are, this is the year is 2016, and that in 2016 we should, within a constitutional dispensation, be busy. And by the way, there is a lot of discrimination that is acceptable, where if I hear that there's a bursary only for women, I totally understand why it is, but that does discriminate against boys, but it is positive discrimination. You understand the historical context within which you would do this. The problem with this particular one is that it is very difficult to find where it is that it would come from. Why would you, out of all the criteria, academics, athleticism, I can understand that, but I don't understand why it is that this is where you would go. But also, again, I mean, I think this is 2016, 200 years of the existence of beginning of the Zulu Kingdom, and I think it's time we also started having real conversations about virginity testing and whether we want to continue with it.
Lulama, 15 seconds. That's all I have, unfortunately, for you. From a commission's perspective, from a gender equality commission, what's the next step?
We are investigating the municipality, and I think what the mayor has said openly, she wants solutions. One of the solutions, looking at your district, Ms. Mayor, you need to empower your girls. More education, more primary education, more secondary education, and give bursaries to deserving students for tertiary. Look at your statistics in terms of the economy and respond to that, and give opportunities, fair opportunities across your municipality.
For sure. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. That's the author, columnist, social commentator Ndumiso Ngcobo. With him was the Commission for Gender Equality Commissioner Lulama Nare. And we also had in our Durban studio the Deputy Mayor of Ethekwini, Nomvuzo Shabalala. And thank you very much for joining us. And I just want to rectify that the Deputy Mayor of Ethekwini, in actual fact, is not a replacement or standing in for Mayor Dudu Mazibuko, but she was invited as a guest to share her insights on this hot, well, it's a massive topic at the moment. It's quite a controversial story. Okay, we take an ad break. You can share your thoughts. It's Morning Live at SABC.